Hey everyone, welcome to a little bit of woo woo. I'm Jill Thomas. Oh my God, it feels like it's been a month, but it's actually just been a week since we connected. And I was gonna do a whole thing on popcorn. By the way, you guys not sponsored by Trader Joe's, but you should buy this. This is the good stuff. If we ever have another incident where popcorn would be required, that's a good one. I was gonna do something about these two grown men fighting, Elon and Trump, and then they did something interesting. Okay. So I don't know if you guys remember Mad Men, that show. I love that show, you guys. I love that show. Anyway, Mad Men, Don Draper, as a character, would say there was a line he said a lot in the show that was awesome. If you don't like what's being said, change the conversation. And you don't need me to tell you that a lot of what's been happening in the news is changing the conversation, not just from Epstein files, but also, the BBL, the big beautiful bill, and things what's happening with that, fights with Elon and the Trump administration, all of that. What's happening in the news appears to be a distraction from that situation. Now, between you and me, I'm going to assume that y'all already figured that a lot of very famous people were allegedly in the Epstein files, and that's probably not why they were releasing them. And I'm going to assume it was more than just the current administration. I'm assuming it was people from other administrations and also assorted famous people. I do see those files being released eventually. It might be 10 years down the road. It might be next year. I don't know, but I do see it coming out. Big scandal, lots of gossip, probably another HBO special. I keep talking about these because I think HBO is going to go nuts with these specials later because there's plenty of material being created right now for them. But I do see we're going to find out this stuff later. It is going to come out. I do see that happening. It's going to be tomorrow at 6:00. No, don't think so. Don't think so. But also the other part of this, which is the part that's more disturbing, is I do feel like it's the administration sort of pushing the boundaries to figure out how much the law will allow. And if we can get this case up to the Supreme Court, will we be able to take over states like that again? I mean, what's happening in California just makes me heartsick. I know The Daily Show, which I do like. I like The Daily Show. Did a thing about how it was America invading America, but it is really Californians invading Californians because you guys, 29 Palms is just an hour and a half east of Los Angeles. And if they got Camp Pendleton, that's just south of Los Angeles. These are Californians going to California and intimidating the population. And nobody wants that. I'm sure they don't even want to do this, but that's what's being ordered, and that's what's happening. Do you want to watch it on the news? I wouldn't. I just stop. I can't. But I do think it's interesting when you're watching the posturing by Gavin Newsom. In case you guys didn't know, he's running for president. He's made it very clear. I do see, I'm in Oregon, so Tina Kotek is our governor, and she words things differently because it does appear that she's not running for president. But the protests that are supposed to happen this weekend, and there is a lot of them. I noticed on the map, it's the No Kings protests. You guys, I'm sure you've already heard about this, but it's kind of the anti-protest for the Trump parade that's supposed to happen. There's 1,500 of these suckers scheduled around the country and a whole bunch of them in Oregon. And I saw Tina Kotek already said, hey guys, I'm in charge of the National Guard in the state of Oregon, and I don't really need your help. I'll let you know if I do. I thought it was kind of interesting. I do see other governors, if they haven't already, making similar statements to the administration. That thanks, but no thanks. We will take care of our own. Don't worry about it. But you guys, I do see more of these protests. This is just the beginning. We've already seen it. It's LA. I think it's also Chicago, and I haven't checked the news this morning. Could be, everywhere else too. I don't know. I wanted one morning to myself where I could just drink my coffee and not be afraid of my phone. Anyway, this is going to be getting more and more prevalent. The demonstrations this weekend, I don't need to tell you guys, you're smart. Just to be aware of your surroundings, pay attention to what's going on. If you see a crime happening, get out of the situation because you can be implicated even if you didn't have anything to do with it. And just keep yourself safe. Women, I think especially, are really cautious, but we are aware of our surroundings. We're aware of what's coming up next to us. because we just do, because we have to. Be more of that this weekend. I would love to say I don't see anything happening, but I think I have some bad feelings. I do feel like there's going to be some not nice situations happening this weekend at some of these protests. There are 1,500 of them at least scheduled. Very well could be in your town as well. And you get that many angry people together, and sometimes not nice things happen. So be cautious. Just be cautious. And if you're told by the police to leave, then just leave. It's all right. It's okay. You've made your statement. But I do see other states banding together because a lot of governors, the whole idea of states' rights, that's very Republicanism. I don't know if that's a thing. That's a very Republican tenet. And it is interesting to see a Republican president kind of violating that tenet. I find that very interesting and in no small way, more than a little disturbing. I'll be honest with you on that one. I do see this kind of being, I wouldn't say the beginning of the end, because I think a lot of things have already sort of happened that have made people angry. But I do see a lack of cooperation in the future over this issue. And I do see that a lot of the governors that he was relying on support aren't going to be as supportive if you start sending the National Guard into their cities. That will make people angry. Even people who were former supporters aren't okay with that one. So I do see that a declining level of support, I would say. I also see some big scandals coming out. I also see, Anonymous is holding on to some stuff, and I think they're going to just have a little fun releasing these things strategically. It is going to be a long, hot summer. When it's hot and there's a lot of protests and heat, things get even worse than normal. I would just be very aware of your surroundings and pay attention and keep yourself safe and keep yourself cool. And if you're having a bad feeling about some situation, it's just all right. Just leave. Just totally leave. It's totally fine. And if you have 2 cars, then you can drive them to take the older one to the protest if you're driving. I'm just saying. I know you guys know that. Be cautious. By the end of the summer, I do see that the bigger challenge isn't going to be these protests. It's going to be that the economy is going to start to have so much noise around it having problems that they're not going to be able to hide behind it and say, hey, this was all on Biden. I mean, they're probably still going to do that. There's a lot of news spin, a lot of that. We're still going to be hearing that. But that's going to be clearly in the forefront. And I do see that by September, that's what's going to make people really, really mad. And the lack of support is really going to happen there. I woke up this morning with that Sarah McLachlan song, World on Fire, in my head. And I was like, no, that's not good. But it's a good video if you watch it. It's a very good video. I don't think the world is going to go on fire. I think there will be peace. I think that most of the demonstrations that you're going to see are going to be very peaceful, and people are just making themselves known. But I do see that, we're going to see some bad actors. There always is that. Anytime you get that many people together who are angry, you're going to see some of that spilling over. You just be mindful that it's not you it's spilling onto, okay? Entertainment purposes only. I am not a stockbroker, a lawyer. If you need one of those, call one of those. I do see the market doing some weird things over the summer. You guys be wise to just watch your positions. Bond market's always doing something weird. Oh my God, Friday, you guys, that jobs report, that was hilarious. I know the headline was that we added jobs, but nobody seems to notice that the last 2 months prior to that, 3 months, we lost like 100,000 jobs. It ended up being something like 50,000 jobs a month for the last 3 months lost. Plus, we're down about 1 million full-time jobs, which means that people just cut hours on the staff that they already had. Yeah. Be mindful of what the news is saying, because they're trying to deliver a message in 3 minutes that if you watch a YouTube video would normally be covered in about half an hour. So just pay attention to that kind of stuff. And I wanted to talk about the things that are coming up in readings this week. I had a lot of people asking about setting personal boundaries, needing to set boundaries with family, especially. I have been seeing a lot of people having to make the decision to go no contact with family. 10 years ago, I would say try to work it out, but now I'm starting to see that there is a great value in going no contact with family when there's no healthy interaction possible with somebody. get the support and the help that you need. Sometimes there's a great relief in knowing that you're not going to be getting a text from that person anymore because you blocked them, in knowing that you're not going to be seeing any more emails from that person that are mean and difficult to deal with because you've sent those emails to spam. Just pay attention to that kind of thing. And if you feel like you need to do it, I wouldn't be so afraid of just hitting that block button. Gosh, it feels so good. I can tell you it feels so good when you set a boundary. Try to do it in a way that doesn't make the situation worse. Maybe you don't need to announce that you're doing it. Maybe you just quietly do it. I don't know. The other thing that has come up all this week with clients, with almost every reading client, is, am I going to get that job? I went for these interviews. I don't know if I'm going to get that job. What about this job? What about that job? First of all, if you haven't already, frequent guest on the show, Jacqueline Holton, she has a Patreon page where she does these like lucky day things, which are really helpful. Astrologically, she gives you dates and times that would be good to send those emails for those jobs, inquiries for jobs. Absolutely get on that. It's inexpensive. I want to say it's like $10. I don't know, maybe Jacqueline, if you're put in the note in the comments, I can't remember how much it wasn't there. It's not that much. It's not that much. People wanting to know, though, I will tell you 9 times out of 10 when people are asking me about a specific job, it's because they kind of intuitively know there's either going to be a delay or that they're not going to get it. Just assume that every job is an opportunity. Every job interview is good practice. If in the past, for every application you sent out, let's say every 10 applications you sent out, you got 1 call back. If that was the ratio before, it's going to be 1 in 100 this time. So you're just going to need to send a lot more out. I'm going to let you in on I'm going to tell you a little quick story. So my husband, a few years ago, my husband does get resumes on his desk for his job. He doesn't choose people, but he can say no sometimes. Anyway, he got one on his desk that was complete gibberish. And I was like, he showed it to me. He's like, how did this get to you? He said, yeah, it's full of keywords, but it had managed to get past the filter they were using, the software they were using looking for keywords. But the resume itself was gibberish, but it just had like every keyword that his company would look for. And it had managed to get through the filtering. So know that there is more going on, that a beautifully written, eloquent resume may not be as important as just making sure you've got all the keywords on the page. And if you need to get some help with that, get some help. There's no shame in calling an expert and saying, what do I need to do here? I would if I were looking for a job, frankly. The other thing I would say is don't be that 16-year-old girl waiting by the phone, waiting for the guy to call. If you've put in a job, you're waiting, you're not sending out more inquiries. No, date like a man. When it comes to jobs, date like a man. Apply, and then just keep going. You got a job interview. You're pretty sure they're about to hand you a offer. Don't stop. Just keep going. Keep that energy moving. You'd be surprised. And how often it will come back around if you just keep that flow going. The other thing, though, that people are asking me about is this is how this conversation goes. I have this job. I don't love it, but I could do it in my sleep. I could be making more money someplace else, but I don't know if there's more jobs. I would just say, for some of you, ask yourself the question, what else is this job getting? Because that's usually what I will ask when somebody asks me this question. What else are you getting from it? Well, I could walk to the office, or well, it's work from home, or, I could do it in my sleep. So I have time in the evening to do, create crafts for my Etsy page. Think about sometimes these jobs that I could do it in my sleep. There's additional benefits that you might be getting. I personally had a job that I knew I could have been making like 10 grand more a year if I worked someplace else, but I was traveling for work and it was fun. It was really fun for me. I was enjoying it. I was meeting people. I was learning new skills that I used in the next job, which was paying me a lot more money than the last job when I did come to be time to leave. Just pay attention to and be grateful for the things you are getting from your current bill payer. Some of your jobs might be so easy right now that you can start a business. I love that for you. I think that's great. I think that's a great idea. But pay attention to what else you might be getting, because there's usually some additional benefits. Like I've said before, I do see unemployment getting up to 10% if it's not already there, now, even though the report says that it's at 4%. Oh my gosh, you guys. Did you guys catch on that jobs report? Those of you that saw it on Friday, some of you did. I know a lot of you just hear about it from me because I talk about it a lot. They had taken a whole mess of people off the job market. So if you have been looking for a period of time and you haven't found anything, they just say that you're not looking anymore and they take you off the numbers so that the unemployment numbers will seem artificially low, because even though you haven't found one for a year, you're not still looking. You've just given up, and they just take you off those off the inquiry numbers. Just know that's part of the game that's being happening. So if you're seeing unemployment is at record low numbers, yeah, it probably is where you live. Maybe, I don't know, but not everything is as presented. Speaking of stuff that's not as presented, I know that there's a rumor going around. I don't know who shared it. I think these air quotes rumors are really our own government releasing leaking bits of information to sort of test market it and see how it's going to go. The rumor was that Bessent might be the next Fed chair. I kind of always thought that was something that they'd talked about before. I thought that was kind of a thing. Here's the thing. You guys know that Powell and the president they're not buddies. They're not really friends. And definitely president said some not nice things about Powell. He can do something to make it so that Bessent can't be the next Fed chair. There has to be an open position on the Fed. Fed is a little cult. It's a little group. He has to choose somebody from the actual Fed to be the next Fed chair. And there is someone resigning, I think, or maybe they're terming out. I can't remember what her name is. It's off the top of my head. Anyway, Powell can resign in the next few months when her seat comes up and take that old seat, because that was his seat before this. And that would make it so the president can't choose Bessent, because he can fill the next seat if it comes open. But if there's no open seat, he has to choose from the current Fed. Now, he might still get somebody that he would like. But I think he picked Powell actually last time. So I'm just saying, there's a lot of little spite going on and a lot of egos going on in the current administration, a lot of stories going on. That's why I would just encourage you not to get too caught up in the news, because so much of it just isn't true. So what do you need to do? Well, you got to live your life. Turn off the news. Oh my God, there's a great series. We just finished it. It was so good. It's The Better Sister. I think it's called The Better Sister. It's on Prime. You should watch it. It's really good. It's like a whodunit. Awesome. Totally awesome. It gets the coveted by nobody Jill Thomas guarantee, but you should definitely watch it. Okay. Spend your weekend doing that. Maybe grab some of this great Trader Joe's popcorn. This is not sponsored. They would not give me any money to say anything about them, but, and just find a way to have fun this weekend. Go out and play. Be mindful of where those protests might be. You don't want to get stuck in traffic. And be safe. Pay attention to your surroundings. Know that you are loved. Know that this too shall pass. Know that most of what's going to happen this weekend is going to be peaceful and loving and kind, and just people expressing themselves with a little bit of not that. So nothing bad's going to happen to you. Everything's going to be fine. But you're smart. Do things that are smart and pay attention, and know that, again, I always want to say this, know that you're loved. Your guides are going to give you intuitive hits. Pay attention to them. Know that everything's going to ultimately be okay, and it's going to work for your benefit. Okay. Trust me on that one. I love you guys. I'll see you later. Bye.